At COP30 in Belem, delegates from 194 countries have shown up, from global powers to frontline nations dealing with stronger hurricanes, floods, wildfires, and droughts. But the sense on the ground is that they are approaching climate action from completely different angles, and that gap is impossible to miss.
Well, I thought this was a climate summit, not a trade show for climate polluters.
Global emissions have doubled in the past 30 years. The last decade has been the hottest in human history. And according to the UN, 250 million people have already been displaced in that same period by climate disasters, roughly 70,000 every day.
The once-in-a-lifetime storm is arriving just as we're still picking up the pieces from the last one.
Yet, only 60 countries have submitted new climate pledges. Together, they would cut emissions by just 12% by 2035, when science says 60% is needed to stay below 1.5 degrees. That's why 25 UN special rapporteurs warn that any deal without a clear plan to phase out fossil fuels would mark the end of the credibility of this process.
We're definitely on a pathway to 2.5 to 3 degrees if we don't phase out fossil fuels and develop the energy transition in a way that can really bring down emissions.
Then there's finance. Countries in the global south are asking for $1.3 trillion a year by 2035 to cope with climate disasters and transition away from fossil fuels. Wealthy nations are offering less than a quarter of that, about $300 billion. That gap has become one of the defining tensions of this summit.
Now, if you are providing, why don't you come to the table and make clear what you are providing, how you are providing, and how do you take it forward?
With temperatures on the rise and the money still missing, the outcome of COP30 may depend less on new promises and more on who's actually willing to deliver. Mikail Malik, TRT World, Belem, Brazil.